the Big East was better than advertised in softball. And I think, you deal with RPIs a lot when you talk all kinds of sports. But in spring sports, they have a hard time developing a strong RPI because cold weather climates, and usually they're going and playing warm weather schools. So it's a catch-22. You want to play a good competition, but yet if you're not successful against those schools, your RPI goes down. The Big East is stronger than advertised. It's tougher than advertised, and I think our kids understand that now. No matter how much we talked about it last year until they went through it, they kind of believed us, but I think they have a lot higher belief now that it's a tougher league. Just being familiar, now this is our second time through, so we'll see the other half of the league that we haven't traveled to, but at least we'll be familiar with the teams, and we're hoping to capitalize on that and just being more comfortable overall. Yeah, we had. I think we had to lead all 3 games in the Georgetown series at home, and we lost all 3 games. And if we had a lead in the Valley, we weren't losing very many games in the Valley. And I think there was something to prove on their part too. They were really welcoming us to the Big East. And it's like, who do you think you are, and you were in what league, and you're from what city? And they wanted to remind us that we were playing Big East teams. And so that was something our players weren't used to. Is when we had a lead, we were typically able to maintain that and get the W. Yet there were, even against DePaul, I believe we had the lead and lost a couple games to them. So that was different for our teams. But exactly what Liz said is they're going to continue to play until the last pitch. They are just tougher mentally than teams that we have played in the past, and as equally talented and maybe slightly more talented. But I think it was a mental part of it. They just have an East Coast mentality. Whether their players are from the East Coast or not, I think they kind of adopt that based upon where they're playing.
I absolutely think we have a great team this year. I think, with our pitching staff, both are really powerful. We need, an expectation for me is we need to win our regular season, the tournament, and then go on to regional play for sure. Come to the realization that I have 1 year left, and I'm trying to make every moment matter. But, I'm trying to, be a leader is my most important thing, be a leader. But still I try to play with the same mentality I have every year, which is just get the job done.
She talked about toughness that we've shown, especially first weekend out. And that's been a point of emphasis of ours in our practices, being tougher mentally. And, we showed the ability to come from behind a couple games. And, Liz briefly spoke about it, but I think the difference is we're all pulling in the same direction, and this year's group is a little bit closer knit, and makes a big difference when you're all pulling the same direction. And we had some wins over the weekend that I'm not sure we would have had in the last few years. And you can talk about team chemistry all you want, but really that's decided by the players, and I think this group has decided that's an important part, an important piece of the puzzle for this year's success.
Definitely our approach to hitting this year is we're more aggressive this year. That's our mentality. That's how we approach the game, practice. It's like Coach said, there's competition, and if you're not aggressive in that competition, then you're going to fall behind. So, aggressiveness and the will to win.
Yeah, absolutely. We sat down and we kind of talked about what motivates each other and ourselves amongst the team. And one of the things that we could all agree on was we wanted to be able to go out on that field and say that we left everything out there, that we played the hardest that we could for ourselves and for each other. I think that thought's been in our minds, especially in the games that we came back to win. When we weren't ahead, we didn't just lay down. Yes, absolutely. And just getting to spend so much time with the girls, it made it a lot easier. Breeze, actually, all the catchers are really comfortable behind the plate, and I think they're comfortable throwing with me just because we rotate catchers throughout practices, so we have someone else every day, and they've all made it really easy. So if they know if I'm struggling on the mound or just having a bad practice, they can come up and they know what to say to me, so it's really helpful. Well, there's been a lot of work going into it throughout the fall and the spring getting ready. Coach has been at all of my pitching lessons, and we've changed some things, so it was really exciting to go out there and with that new adjustment to my pitching to have such a great start. A little bit. I felt pretty confident. The coaches prepared me pretty well, and just all the time and work going into it. But the first inning was a little shaky. I had a couple illegal pitches, and so that was where I got the nerves out, I guess. But the rest of the game, I didn't realize I had a no-hitter going on until my teammates were super excited at the end, and that's when I realized. So the nerves definitely worked out in the first inning, though.
She downplayed what she had to overcome in the first inning. Even though we had some nice weather prior to leaving, our field wasn't always solid enough to pitch off of. So in her bullpen warm-up before the game was her first time off of dirt. And, of course, when you pitch on turf and then you transition to dirt, there's that learning curve. Well, she's learning on the fly in the first inning in her first game in a Creighton uniform, and had some illegal pitches and had to pitch out of a jam with runners on bases. And to her credit, she was able to do that. So that gives you an idea of her competitiveness and her ability to pitch out of jams. Well, these two hit the nail on the head. I mean, our goal every year is to compete for a championship. My hopes and expectations are we get healthy. Right now, we're not quite all the way healthy. We've seen what this team can do. We've only, unfortunately, only seen it in practice. We have a couple pitchers that are still recovering. Cassidy recovering from a knee injury that she had in the fall, so she's recovering from an ACL injury, and she ought to be back sometime in March. And then Sydney Eck, our other pitcher, is has a lower leg issue that she'll see the doc about today, and we could be without her for some time. So, first and foremost, we got to get healthy. In the meantime, we got to make sure that we keep Michaela fresh and don't overuse her. So it's going to be a little bit tricky on our end. The goal is to be healthy certainly as soon as we can, but hopefully by league play, and we have Butler at home. I think March, later on in March. So the goal is to be healthy by then with our pitching staff, and certainly have a good opening series. Our goal is to always win every game at home. Certainly want to win every series at home, but we want to be in a position for a league championship, and then do our best to win a conference championship and advance to regionals, and those will always be our goals.